Hello and welcome to this Dominions 3 video. I am making this because Dominions 3 is a damn good game and I think more people should play it. So I'm just going to give you a brief rundown of what the hell Dominions 3 is, because you're probably looking at this and going, okay, why is the background so laggy? Why is this guy showing me this video? Why am I watching this? You know, what's so good about this game that's got people playing it? Dominions 3 is two things. It is... well, it's about micromanaging, lots and lots of micromanaging, constantly, you know, improving, more things to do, more things to look after, more things to research. But the main draw of it is, in Dominions 3, you are a god. And we're not talking black and white kind of, you're a god but you're limited reach and you can barely do anything and your creature is basically, you know, God and not you. No, we're talking more along the lines of, you create a character who's trying to achieve godhood, and in doing so has to fight other players who are trying to be gods. If I was to give a rough rundown of the game, you know, the first thing that you have to that you really need to know is that it sounds horrible music-wise. It's like a preference thing, but I'll just show you this. Hang on. Yeah, it's it's kind of like a traditional English kind of medieval folk band kind of thing, and you get them at fairs and festivals and things, but it's not the best. I don't really like it myself. I think this is a bit kind of, well, this game's goddamn exciting, and this kind of slows it right down. Okay, admittedly it's slow getting into, but when it picks up, you know, this game picks up. So I'm gonna, you know, turn that off because it's terrible. First thing I want to say about this game is that, you know, if you're a first-person shooter player, you know, if you really like your trigger-happy gaming, this probably isn't for you. You know, this requires patience and, above all else, actual kind of strategic thinking. I mean, you can pick a race and just have heavily armoured dudes, like giants or something, and just keep throwing walls of them at your enemy, but after a while, you know, that strategy isn't going to be up to snuff. So yeah, if you've not got much patience, you know, you probably won't enjoy it. If you like a bit of Dwarf Fortress or Minecraft or hell, even if you like that new Dwarves game on Steam, you know, you'll probably enjoy this game. But just warning you now, there's a lot of things to look at, and you know, it doesn't get any easier once you start. So let's begin with creating a new game. So the first thing is you choose a map. You can go for a random map, which are, you know, they're pretty cool. It generates a completely random world using like different setups of trees and mountains and rivers and things. And then you've got the different preset maps, which are quite cool. All of these are multiplayer maps. The game is both single player and multiplayer, but at the end of the day, you know, you've got to have an enemy to fight against. It can't just be you singular trying to conquer a world of independent nations, because there's no fun in that. I'm picking Aaron because I know this fucking map like the back of my hand. I've played it that many goddamn times. You can name the game, it doesn't matter. Big ass titties. Oh, alright. Yeah, so once you've named it, you get to select what era you want to play in. Now, the rough story of Dominions 3 is this. This is like the most down-to-earth story I could actually sort of throw to you right now to explain it. Once upon a time, the old gods died. The ancient rulers of this world, you know, one of them created a weapon called death and killed the others before getting killed himself by his own creation. That is kind of the name of this game. You know, it's all about trying to now rise up out of those ashes as a new belief, as a new religion, and take over the world. And this takes many different stages and different sort of shapes and forms. What you see here is the era selection, where you get to choose kind of what level of magic there is in the world. The earlier stages are just full of crazy-ass magic and creatures, whilst the later ages have more of a kind of a move towards technology. I mean, this is all based kind of between the ancient and a sort of very early medieval era, so don't expect any gunpowder or anything. It's not that kind of game. This is all kind of swords and sorcery, right? This is fantasy, not sci-fi. There's no modern war going on here. But yeah, each age represents the kind of drain of magic or the sudden birth of magic into the world. So the earliest ages, the creatures and nations reflected in it are kind of they're newcomers. Take for example Abyssia, which is this fire nation. It's all about lava and magma infantry because they're born from volcanoes. These guys are like walking sort of hothouses. You know, they wear heavy armor, they walk forward and they smash things in the face whilst burning the land around them because, you know, they're made of fire. And that's in the early ages. Compare them to the later ages, because the magic's slowly draining away from the world, constant years of living in this world, they've kind of, their inner furnaces are sort of turning, sort of, the heat is lowering down now. Humans have become more sort of common sight in their society, and you get these kind of weird half-human breeds, which are kind of half magma, half human, and because of that, they're not as strong, but they're more numerous and they're cheaper resource-wise and gold-wise. So it's a representation of the different races, well, how time progresses and how that affects the different races. Another example has got to be man. In the earliest of ages, man is this kind of very druidic kind of race, which, you know, there's lots of sorcery going on, there's lots of kind of ladies in lakes and, you know, that kind of very sort of cheesy, almost Celtic kind of approach to magic. Whilst in the later ages, man's very medieval. There's a sort of sudden move towards plate armor and longbows, and you know, and this is moving away from the sort of focus on steel and the pursuit of swords and that kind of thing. So it's think Conan compared to you know, medieval Total War. You get the rough idea. You know, they're different at the end of the day. One's early, one's late. I'm going to pick middle because I like the middle era. It's neither magic heavy or tech heavy, so a lot of the races are, you know, easy going. Next thing we get is adding players. You have to have at least one enemy. You know, it can't just be you walking over the world, like I said. I'm going to be playing purely against AI, even though a lot of people say AI sucks. It's true. I mean, you look at their battle tactics. You got standard, defensive, aggressive, and then back to random. There's no real, you know, beating around the bush here. They either turtle and just build up a big nation and just hold their place for a while, or from the word go, they're flat out expanding. One thing to keep in mind is, with the AI, it's so primitive. You know, the moment you accidentally hit one of their, like, scouting parties, that's it. You've declared official war against them, and they will keep fighting you until either they die or you die until the game ends. So, yeah, the AI can hold a grudge for the entire game. Unlike if you play multiplayer against humans, you know, you can have diplomatic relations, you can do a bit of trading. It's pretty different. So I'm playing against AI because, you know, every game should be able to stand up by itself, by its single player. None of this, oh, it has to only have a good multiplayer. No, I don't buy into that. Single player holds a game, and that's probably lost me a lot of friends right now, because I know a lot of you are thinking multiplayer is like the golden gift of God. Speaking of which, we go to nation selection. You can start the game with a random one, but that takes a lot of the control out of your hands. And these all vary from easy to difficult, and every one of them's based on a different kind of real-world sort of religion, or shall I say, mythology. Take, for example, Arcus Cephael, or whatever. These guys are like Greeks, okay? They have not triaries, they have, Christ, what are they called? They have phalanxes, they have hoplites, they have those kind of Greek movements, they have elephants, they have all those sort of crazy things. But they also branch off, rather, into the more kind of mythological side of it, where they've got things like sort of Hercules and Pegasus and Zeus and, you know, all those kind of typical Greek mythology things. Take something like Irma, which is very Roman in style, but it's a sort of undead Roman Empire, so you've got the living marching alongside the dead, but the actual battle tactics are very Roman, because you have legionnaires, you have triarii, you have javelin throwers. Well, javelin throwers are everywhere, but you know what I mean, it's Roman. Compare that to something like Machaca, you know, that's very African. This is like spider sorcery. There's lots of sort of blood magic, there's lots of sort of tribal tactics. all these different, Vanheim, they're Vikings. Jotunheim, they're giants, enemies of the Vikings. It's simple enough. There's Man, like I said, the Tower of Avalon. Ulm, which are all about steel plate. And Abyssia, the Fire and Blood dudes, which I really like. You've also got some underwater nations like Atlantis, Riley, and Oceania. Atlantis and Oceania are very much traditional kind of sea people. You've got the mermaid, you've got the kind of fish people. Riley is the, well, if you don't know what Riley is, you've been living under a rock. Riley is basically the whole kind of H.P. Lovecraft thing going on. And, once the Illithids enter the battle, they must win. No, they can really be crushed in this game. So, hell, you've got these dudes from Hindu faith. You've got the Bandar Log, Land of the Apes. And it's not like Planet of the Apes, people. This is like, those, you get those Hindu gods with the multiple arms and the multiple swords and the big sort of necklace of skulls or whatever around the neck. There's weird kind of gods. That's kind of that. I'm going to go for Caleum, Rise of the Seraphim, because it's different. I've not tried it before. They get war malice and they can fly. Why not? It's a cold nation. Let's do this. So yeah, as you can see, they give you a large brick of flavour text about the nation. You can read it, feel free. If you play the game, you can read through all of them and choose a nation that you like the look of. There's a lot of Wikipedias and sort of guides out there for helping you choose the nation that's right for you, but the best way to do it is just explore and test things out. There's no right or wrong in this game. You can choose any nation and run them any way you like, with varying degrees of success or failure, so by all means. At the bottom we've got the different kind of interesting things, like their military is mostly flying units, skilled archers and mammoths. Fantastic. That already gives you some ideas as to the tactics they'll use, like holding back until the enemy's main troop have gone forward, then fly behind them and go get the mages, archers and commanders, and so on. You've got the various magic they use and the sort of strength of the priests of the nation, and the more detailed information about the race, like if they're cold resistant or fire resistant, or what sort of scales they prefer, like turmoil or magic, but I'll explain those now, because we're going into the design of our god. The man or woman or thing, because believe me, you do get thing in this. Oh no, not you, sorry. That's a lich. No, hang on. I want select physical form. Thing is like this twin-headed serpent, it's you can be goddamn near anything as a pretender god, and every race has some similar ones, like the Archmage, that carries over into every race, but then you get more unique ones like this winged dude here, the Arch-Seraph. He's unique to Caleum. You can be a dragon if you're really into fucking dragons. I'm not into dragons. I've never liked dragons, and I don't like people who like dragons. So that's that cuts me off from a lot of the world right there. But to be honest, they're big, they're dumb, they're ugly, and they can turn into an alternate human form. Hang on.